Welcome to Garden Sanity. I'm Laura, and I kind of have to squint today because the sun's out. We have had a week of rain, and I'm not talking just rain, I'm talking a deluge of rain. These are tete-a-tete daffodils. They were kind of on their way out, but as you can see, there was still a lot of blooms on them, but they got flattened by the rain. I mean, seriously, it was, let's see, we had Easter Sunday, and then it rained Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Today is Thursday. We are getting more rain later today. So it's kind of bizarre. We actually have some sun this morning. So I thought I'd show you what the garden looks like after a week of rain. Now, we didn't just have gentle rain. We had crazy rain. We had such severe rain and coastal winds. Yesterday sort of felt more like a nor'easter. Last night we even had thunder and lightning. Now it is early April. I realize some of you in other parts of the country, not the Northeast, are probably like, thunder and lightning, what's the big deal? Well, for us that was our first thunder and lightning really of the season. So yeah, my tete-a-tetes in this beautiful bed, now that the knockout roses are pruned back to show them off, they're done. So spinning around to this bed, there are still tete-a-tetes that got a later start that are still standing strong. There might be one flopping over there, but I still maintain that these are weatherproof daffodils because these were standing tall when it started. The rain started, that is, and they're still standing tall. And I'm amazed. I'm absolutely amazed. Now the sun is pretty bright, which is awesome. And I'm going to need at least a few days to dry this bed out, and all the beds actually. I have not pruned. These are the little lime hydrangeas. All the things I wanted to do this week, like pruning them and my pinky winkies, not going to happen probably till the weekend. I need at least, 3-4 days for all this to dry out, because if I put my foot in the beds now, forget it. You would have, I'd probably lose my foot. Well, I'd lose my shoe. I don't know if I'd lose my foot unless there was some monster down there. I'm a little giddy. I'm so happy that we have actual sunlight. Here is a lone daffodil. This is a red Devon. I don't know where his friends are. They might have drowned. All these that you see here, this is Lycojum, also called summer snowflake. And there's one little one that's just starting right there. A little hard to see with the glare of the sun. So those came up during the storm. So if there's one positive of all the rain we had, it would be that the mulch is darker and it makes all the colors pop. These are 3 Kramer's Red Winter Heaths. Looks like some wild onions, the mugo pine behind it. I wanted to cut this grass back this week, so that's now a project for next week or the weekend. I'll definitely cut the little lime hydrangeas back. And then you can see in this center bed, these tall things are the pinky winky hydrangeas. I also need to cut those back and had planned on doing that this week. I planned on doing a lot of gardening this week, and it's just not going to happen. You can see some of the mulch was kicked up by the rain. There were puddles everywhere. You can see here on the sidewalk, got some mulch kicked out. But that's also done by the birds because they're also looking for some food in between the different rainstorms. The color guard yucca is looking nice. These are red Devons getting ready to pop. Amazingly not knocked over by the rain. And I'm not kidding you. Rain, wait, I'll show you. We have an instant water feature in the backyard now. Oh, I'll show you that in a minute. So those daffodils you see right there are Poetica actea daffodils. Late blooming daffodils. I can't explain why the rain made them start to bloom. I have no idea. But what I am happy about is there's a ton of them. Do you see all of those? I planted them, I think it was 3 years ago. And so they're nicely filling in, which is great. But yeah, those are usually late blooming. Then you see the hellebores. And I'm not stepping in the bed, so this is as close as you're gonna get. The hellebores are looking beautiful. And then I'll put a video up from a few weeks ago of what this corner of the bed looked like, looking up with all the daffodils that were tete-a-tete daffodils blooming. So this is a few weeks later, after a week of horrible rain. And if anything, they kind of fanned out a little bit. So not too bad. And again, these are red Devons just starting out. So they start out looking a little bit more like they have darker yellow trumpets, but these will start as they mature to get more orange trumpets like this guy, and then they will develop more of a red-orange trumpet. Again, another daffodil. All of these, I say, are weatherproof daffodils. It's one of the reasons I got them and planted them, and this is a perfect example. So yeah, the one positive aspect, like I said, is the darker mulch makes the colors pop. The sun makes the colors pop. This is the orange rocket barberry that it's just starting to bud out with little leaves, but I'm pruning that back. I say it every year. This is the year I'm doing it. I was going to do that this week. Nope, not this week. Next week I will do it. I think I should be able to have this bed dried out enough. I mean, this is pretty wet. I'll get in there. More tete-a-tetes, and right down here you have some autumn fire sedum. Always comes back nicely, and then it's way too wet for it. So this is going to get moved back into a new bed I'm making in the backyard for drought tolerant plants. So autumn fire is finally going to get a good home that'll make it much happier. And then coming around to this side of the bed, you see a lot of older daffodils, like the tete-a-tetes, are finished, and then the later blooming ones, which are the red Devons. And then, again, I don't know why, the rain decided to make all of my beautiful summer snowflakes pop. Sometimes these don't bloom until May, more later April. But let me get my hand back here so you can see, and hopefully you can see how pretty those are. This is a nice shot. You got the red Devon with the summer snowflake together. That's a nice combo. It's actually hard for me to see as I'm filming. It's so bright out here, and I am not complaining. Am I complaining? I should not be. And then these are my husband's favorites because you can't see them. He likes to tease me about them. These are little white muscari. I'll put the variety up on the screen. It doesn't really matter because I planted them, as you can see, one here, one there, one here, and that's exactly how they come up. I can see why they say you got to plant them, en masse, as they say, because they look kind of silly that way. But right now, at least they kind of blend in with the leucojum, or summer snowflake. You see the geum behind it with some of the new leaves starting to come up. Over here is the Petite Henri and Petite Jenny. Can't really tell the difference right now, but Petite Jenny has pink flowers, Petite Henri white flowers, and those will pop up later in the spring. Although who knows, because the leucojum is already popping up, so I don't know. I don't know what's happening. The grassy looking thing back there, you see them in a few places. Those are the leftover leaves of the crocuses that I had. And that's the Fothergilla, which hopefully will start developing more buds and blooms. And some weeds I gotta pick. That's always fun. So you can see that the candy tuft is just starting to bloom. It popped as well during this past week. Looking really good. I think the lavender is not happy about all the rain. I mean, just look at it. You can see some of the fresh growth on it, but yikes. That looks like a lot of dead stems I'm going to have to cut out of that. which is unfortunate. Also try to get a close-up of this plant here. That is a bleeding heart. I'll put the name on the screen. It can take the sun. It's a new perennial from Proven Winners that is just awesome. I've been trialing it in my garden, and this will be the first full season for it. I planted it last summer. And then also wanted to show you how pretty this Kramer's Red Winter Heath continues to look, blooming since end of December, with the lavender topiary. And that's got a lot of nice new growth on it. So this guy's happy. I'm happy. Oh, and check this out. This is the Silver King euonymus. Yeah, do you think I need to cut this down a little bit? Can't really see out the windows. That's on my list too. So more candy tuft over here, more tete-a-tetes in this foundation bed as well, and the beautiful Dusty Miller. Just survived the winter like a champ. Now this one got a little beat up, but look at all the new growth. So I just got to cut off some of those dead stems, and it survived great. And then down in here is another one of those bleeding hearts. So pretty, and I'm really looking forward to it this year. This lavender seemed to do a little bit better from the rain. Got some new growth on that there. That looks good. And this is, of course, the other topiary. So this bed looks really pretty right now. You've got the Hinoki cypress really nicely greening up. You have the Hellerii holly looking beautiful. Behind it, the blue starred juniper and the Kramer's Red Winter Heath. And look at those beautiful daffodils. They look absolutely beautiful. Again, a little bit early than I expected. These are Cragford daffodils, but they came out during the rain and a few of them fell over just in the back, but again, weatherproof. It's amazing. And then all of these larger ones, these are the tete-a-tetes. And then down here are the adorable Tempo Rose Geum, or Geum Tempo Rose. And they look just so pretty. These are all the buds right now. So they are going to be blooming. Oh, I do see one flower back there. So this is going to be my first year with the Geum Tempo Rose. And I'm really excited about it. I planted them last year in place of a juniper that just petered out. I'll put a picture on the screen. It was a beautiful juniper. I'm not sure what kind it was, but rabbits tried to make a nest in it, and after that, it just started petering out. I don't know why, or if that's related. These are also crocus leaves. I love how they come up and they almost become another plant, you know, more greenery for your garden. But isn't it amazing how all these bulbs just make the garden so alive, even though the ones on their way out still provide so much life. So pretty. And then of course you have the blue star juniper glistening. I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but it's glistening with all the raindrops still on it. So just a beautiful, beautiful morning. And I just wanted you to see how pretty everything was looking. This is the lamppost bed. Again, the tete-a-tetes are finished up, but you can see the red Devons and the gorgeous Kramer's Red Winter Heath, blue star juniper, a little bit of candy tuft down here. This guy survives every spring, looks absolutely beautiful. And back here is a Mango Tango Agastache or Agastache. And there's, oh, look, hello, you got a little bent. Let's try to move you back. I tried, all right. And then this is the Manhattan euonymus with a bright green look to it because it's got a ton of new leaves coming out. You can see the old leaves are the bigger leaves. And then you got a lot of the new growth that's all over the shrub. So pretty soon I will have to prune that on the list. And this is the final bed. You've got the red and yellow twig dogwoods. You've got the tete-a-tetes that are winding up, and then you've got more red Devons. These 3 blue star junipers that you see here, they're coming out, and I'm going to be replacing those with a hibiscus because it's a little too moist there, especially after all the rain, for the blue star junipers. But I am going to try to save those and plant those in another bed. I'm going to have to cut off the Millennium Allium's seed heads finally, even though I've enjoyed them so much. Got new growth coming there. These are also little lime hydrangeas that need to prune. And then here are the red Devon daffodils, and you can see how beautiful all the orange-red trumpets are. So these popped up a little bit sooner than the other ones in the center bed. And this is exactly what you're going to see as they mature, is they get these beautiful reddish orange trumpets that are just absolutely stunning. And here's an interesting looking one. Look at this guy. I'm not sure if he faded or what happened to him. But you know what? I actually think he's pretty. Look at that. It looks like he's got some lace on the edge of his trumpet. That's pretty. I don't know. Maybe these are girls. Oh, here's one over here too. Isn't that pretty? If Mother Nature did that with the rain, I'll take it. Because I haven't found much else that's been good about this much rain in this bed. The only plants that are happy about this are the ones that like wet. So the red and yellow twig dogwoods, happy. Also have a lot of river birch stems that fall during the storms. That is the one bad thing about that tree. You know, it's a beautiful tree, but a lot of stems fall from it, especially during high winds and storms, and it's kind of constant cleanup. Now, there is another little lime hydrangea, and behind it, a knockout rose that just popped up on its own. We had removed knockout roses from this bed a couple years ago, and the end of last summer, one decided to pop up there. So I guess one of the roots just hung on, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to leave it there. If it wants to grow there, I'll let it grow there. And then my favorite giant mugo. It's not a giant mugo. It was once just a mugo. I've given it the name giant mugo, so don't go looking for a breed of mugo called giant mugo. And then these pretty plants, these are called weeds, and they're everywhere. This is the start of Geranium roseanne. More red Devon daffodils, a few little tete-a-tetes. And then this is the wet bed area. And here, you know how you can tell it's a wet bed? Because I've got a puddle. I've got an instant water feature right there. So these are little Henry sweet spires that love wet. So they're happy as clams. And then, like I said, these are the red and yellow twig dogwoods that go up the side. So now I'm in the backyard, and luckily I was able to prune the dappled willow a couple weeks ago. So very happy with how it's looking. But we've got, this one is doing well. This is one of the transplants, cuttings I should say, that I transplanted here after growing it in a pot. And then this one is one I'm doing as a tree. Again, it was one that kind of died off, but this one stem stuck out and stuck up. And so I said, you know what? Let's try to grow a dappled willow tree. And it looks really pretty. Right next to the Magnolia Jane tree, which got waterlogged like you wouldn't believe. Luckily, not too many petals fell down, but it wasn't a great start for this spring blooming tree. But can we take a moment to just admire how beautiful the drought-tolerant bed is coming along? Now this half actually isn't so bad. This, the plants that are in here, I sunk in their pots and just covered them over with dirt for the winter time so they'd be okay. But look at this. Oh my goodness, this is supposed to be drought tolerant. We have a water feature. Look at that. Nice, huh? So my husband started digging last weekend to help me amend the soil, doing the heavy digging. And yeah, this is what happened. So we're obviously not finished with this. We're slowly digging it up because this is all gravel, and because when it was put in, it was tamped down. This soil is rock hard. even more so than it would be normally. So my husband is very, very nicely digging it up slowly for me. Then I'm going to add composted leaves, composted cow manure, gypsum. I'm going to put that all on the bottom, as far down as I can get. And then put soil and whatnot on top, and then plant drought-tolerant plants. Look at this. Oh, God. It's okay. This is how every single garden bed was when it started out, and I had to amend the soil. In the distance, you can see the false yucca or red yucca, and that I also plan to deal with this week because I always like to clean it in time for the beautiful magnolia jane tree blooming. So that didn't happen. Lots of weeds to get out. I guess I'm basically showing you my to-do list. That's the smaller magnolia jane, and boy, is that small. Maybe in 50 years it'll catch up to this other one. Beautiful arborvitaes, as always, very happy. The tenants have moved back in. If they ever left, I'm not sure. But we've got purple finches in there. House finches, I'm not sure which. I'm still trying to figure that out, but they're beautiful. And then we have this beautiful sea of red Devons with some Cragford daffodils mixed in. Absolutely stunning, and survived all of the rain. And look what else you still see blooming. The shooting star hellebores. Look at that. Still growing strong since January. Look at that. And then the Mediterranean pink heath, still blooming. There's another hellebore behind it. So this bed's looking very pretty. And right here, what you see, this is a pufferfish hydrangea. And Proven Winners sent this to me last year to start trialing. I pruned it already, and you already can see there's some buds coming out on it. So this is going to be really fun. I just planted it last summer, so this is going to be fun to watch it grow in its first season in the garden. So there's a lot of nice color in this bed. Here's a couple of daffodils that got a little waterlogged, unfortunately. Not all of them, but some of them. But they sure are pretty. Sounds you hear in the background are the recycling trucks racing around the neighborhood. This is a winter gem boxwood that I also planned on, say it with me, pruning last week. This week. Last week. This week. It's only Thursday today. Oh my goodness. Anyway, you can see how much new growth is starting to come on these. And so I definitely need to prune this back. This is going to be another one that I'm going to prune down quite a bit because it hadn't been pruned in a while. Even though it looks pruned, this is not pruned yet. So I still need to do the limelight hydrangea tree. However, I am not putting a ladder or step stool or anything in this bed until it dries out, or I will sink down. Got my other daffodils, which the show isn't that, going to be as great this year because some of them just really got beat up a little bit. But look at these cuties. Aren't they cute? I love these little guys. And of course, more weeds. These are Cragfords and red Devons. These are dwarf English boxwoods. I'm also going to be severely pruning them back this year. And we've got our really pretty Candy Love hellebores. Let me see if I can get closer for you. These hellebores have been blooming again since, these ones probably since February. And they take on these beautiful darker tones as they mature. And you do see, I'm still getting one or two new blooms, which is great. And then on the red bud stick, you do see a couple of red flowers starting to come out. So I don't know, the question is, will this red bud stick ever turn into a tree? I don't know. This was a bare root plant that never took off, and then it started to take off after I left it in the ground for a season. It started to show some signs of life after all, so I don't know. We'll see. So this circle bed got waterlogged, as did everything. So dogwood just starting to get its buds. This is a Perfecto Mundo double white azalea. Hopefully it will be happier with less rain. And then this little guy is one of three I have, which are the Perfecto Mundo pink carpet azalea. So that's a ground cover azalea. Got a reminiscent pink rose, looking nice and green. And you have down here 3 Armeria Daydream, and they are starting to put on their green color for the season. So I'm going to come in here and just hand pick out some of the brown leaves. I won't go nuts about it because they'll kind of come off on their own. Now the King's Gold Mop Cypress is still looking good from last year's pruning and the year before's pruning. However, this is where you can get complacent and say, well, you know what, it still looks great. I mean, do I really need to prune it? Yes, come in and do even a little bit because you just don't want it to start getting out of hand. This is the sea green juniper back there. I'm going to definitely be pruning that again this spring. And these are the 2 Rhinegolds that were overgrown. I did a video end of last summer. And I still need to come in here and cut these back down here because I got to find the sprinkler that we think is leaking. And then I'm also just keeping an eye on the tops because I cut off the tops, which you're not really supposed to do, but I just needed to take the height down. So I definitely am going to come back in here and prune this back a little bit more. Same with this guy. And this guy shows a little bit more of the brown on top. So that's not, you know, this is winter color. Brown is dead. So I need to give this a little bit of TLC. I'm determined to shrink these as much as I can. So that's another project for this year. And this is what I call the wet bed in this area here. So these shrubs are the ones that are the happiest right now. You've got the twigs that are just starting to get some buds on them. Very slight, not easy to see, but this is the Sugar Shack button bush. That is a boxwood that needs some iron and fertilizer badly. These are 2 clethras, putting on some buds. And then we have 3 little Henry Sweet Spires up there with a Japanese garden juniper. These are red tip photinias that also need to be pruned at the top especially. Look at that, they are getting way high. And then going up the side are the arborvitaes that were planted last spring and some red tip photinias up there as well. And weeding definitely has to be done, but they look fantastic. And then the 1 Leyland cypress we kept that is a mutant. It was the only one that grew this tall. And then this is what I call the long bed. It used to be a vegetable bed and then we turned it into a garden bed. So you see a lot of daffodils getting ready to pop, as well as the crabapple tree. That is some beautiful color. And pretty soon this will be covered, unless we get more rain. Who knows? One thing I did manage to do was prune the butterfly bushes before it rained, which was good. Now I can do that because I'm in Zone 7, Southern New Jersey, so it's a little bit warmer here. So you already see I had some leaves popping out. If you don't see any leaves on yours yet and you're in a northern more climate, wait a little bit because sometimes the leaves won't pop out, sometimes as late as Father's Day. So you want to wait until you see some leaves and then you know where to make your cuts. Just make them above a healthy set of leaves and you'll be good to go. I have a video on that. At the end, I'm going to link all kinds of pruning videos to help you out with all your garden chores, which is what I'm hoping to work on now that we've got some sun. This is a boulevard cypress, looking absolutely beautiful. It's now taller than the King's Gold next to it. I'm so happy, proud of this little guy because now I can see him from the house. We've got a lot of bulbs, just a lot of greenery. So thanks for coming on this It's Not Raining Anymore garden tour and enjoying, hopefully, listening to me tack off my garden list of things I've got to get done. And until next time, happy gardening.